Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I am going to be talking about don't tell your kids that Dungeons and Dragons is cool. All right. So I'm doing this video today because it's Father's Day. Okay, and I am incredibly blessed to be a father to 4 children. I could not be happier and more blessed. I'm so fortunate. I have two sons and 2 daughters. They're all brilliant and beautiful, and I just, I couldn't ask for more. I'm just incredibly blessed to be a father. I have a beautiful wife who helps raise that gaggle of children, and we do that task together. And so I am a father. Well, today in church, I had it was one of the most joyful things I've ever experienced. It was a wonderful, funny, wonderful moment, except for one person involved. I do pity him. All right, so he was a father. So on Father's Day, our church decided it would be a good idea, and it was a great idea. It brought joy to the whole church, that we would dedicate children, okay? So there were a number of children that were being dedicated today. And so in even evangelical churches, when you dedicate a child, you bring that child forward. And as a church, we all kind of acknowledge that we desire for this child to grow up and be a powerful servant of the Lord, and that we as a church have a role to play in that task. Okay. By the way, this is all pointed directly toward Dungeons and Dragons. Hang on. All right. So, sorry, this is such a funny occurrence. So basically, all these gentlemen were and ladies, husbands and fathers, were dedicating their children. And since it was Father's Day, the pastor said, let one of the gentlemen come up with his baby son, all right? And you know what? I'm not sure if it was a son or a girl. I don't know if it was a boy or a girl. It was a baby. That's really all I know, right? The father had a baby, and that baby would be between 10 months and 14 months, okay? And so a baby that couldn't walk, you know what I mean? And so he comes up to the mic, and he holds his baby in his left hand, and he fumbles with his notes in his right hand and puts his notes down on the podium like he's going to give a speech, right? And then he begins his speech, and he's like, when I first became a father, I thought that, and all of a sudden, boop, like right on the mic, the baby puts his hand on the mic, right? The baby puts their hand on the mic. I'm not sure if it was a boy or girl. And so everybody just laughed a little bit, right? So the dad, took his other hand and kind of moved the baby's hand back from the mic, right? But the dad's got to get in on the mic to be heard, right? But he's also holding the baby with one hand, right? So he starts his speech up again. The baby goes boop, touches the mic. So he takes the little baby's hand and he pushes it away, and he just keeps going, and he kept trying, right? And he just kept going, and in his speech, and after the 3rd or 4th time, the baby did this between 15 and 20 times. And after the baby did it the 3rd time, I have no idea what that man said, because it was like an Abbott and Costello. And by the way, if you're a little younger and you don't know who Abbott and Costello are, they're an old comedy duo. They were very, very funny, and they did physical humor as well as verbal humor. They were very, very funny. And this is like an old Abbott and Costello routine where they just he would talk and the baby would touch the mic. He would talk and the baby would touch the mic. And everybody was just laughing. It was so funny. Okay. But in that moment in church, I learned something invaluable for how to grow Dungeons and Dragons among millennials. All right. And that's the demographic we need. Right. Nobody needs more Gleards like me. Right. Gleards are someone who has a beard and glasses, and our hobby is chock full of them, right? And we have a lot of old people playing this game, and we need young people to pick up the banner and carry it forward, so that Dungeons and Dragons can be great for 300 years. Okay, that's what I care about the game. I want to see this game last for centuries, right? In its true form, books, tables, people, game masters, tabletop role-playing game for 300 years. Okay. And that's a whole conversation of itself, but we absolutely desperately need millennials to carry the banner forward, okay? And so, with that said, right, there was something that the father did that I'll never forget. Okay, so they do this Abbott and Costello routine where the baby's touching the mic and the dad's trying to do his speech, and he did his speech, but I swear, I don't think anybody in that audience had heard one word he said because it was just so funny, right? And there were people verbally laughing, which has made it a little worse. And I confess I might have been one of those people. So anyway, so we're going along, right? And what happens is, there's a point where the dad gets it, and he's like, okay, this ain't working, right? And so he takes the baby forward, and he just moves the baby forward just 10 inches forward, okay? And he says, hey, buddy, you got something to say? Right? And he said it in a very gentle and loving way, okay? That baby threw the baby's arms back and had nothing to say and would not touch the mic. The second the mic was given to the baby didn't want it. It blew my mind. And I'm like, that's Dungeons & Dragons. That's Dungeons & Dragons right there. So I'm telling you, if you are a mother or if you are a father, stop telling your kids that Dungeons & Dragons is cool. It is the worst thing in the world to do to raise a Dungeons & Dragons champion, to raise a banner hauler, like a banner person, a banner champion, someone who's going to carry the banner of Dungeons & Dragons onto the battlefield, right, for the next few decades, and who's going to build the next generation of Dungeons & Dragons players after that, okay? So here's why, okay? One, everything you think is cool, your kids don't think are cool, man. Like, you might, and they're going to give you a nice smile, and they're going to, and they'll sit at the table and roll dice with you. It's not going to matter. Right? The things you think are cool just are not cool to your kids. I've learned this lesson. All right. I have 4 kids. One of my sons went. I have 4 kids. One of them was valedictorian. He went to school on a full tuition and graduated with a dual major. The next one has been accepted into college, and again will be going on to. Will be getting scholarships, multiple scholarships. My other 2 are artists and athletes, and I've put in my time, man. I've done 22 years as a father, and I can tell you, one of the lessons I've learned is whatever you think is cool, your kids do not think that thing is cool. And whatever you think is the most cool in the world, you are configuring them to think it is the uncoolest thing in the world. And it has nothing to do with you, and it has nothing to do with them. It's just generational, okay? It's generational, right? So here's the issue, right? So if I'm saying you don't do this, don't tell your kids Dungeons & Dragons are cool and try to get them into the game. Keep it from them. Keep the game from them, right? So basically from now on, if you're a parent and you play Dungeons & Dragons, okay, what you need to do is you need to consider that hobby as though you are in the Hell's Angels. That's the best way to do it, okay? So basically your kid says, hey, Dad, Mom, you play Dungeons & Dragons, don't you? And then you say, yeah, I do play Dungeons & Dragons, son or daughter. But we really shouldn't talk about that. The table could be a dark place. It's nothing for you. Don't concern yourself with it. And they'll say, but wait, Dad or Mom, wait. Doesn't Derek? Doesn't he play Dungeons & Dragons too? He's one of your friends, right? What does he do? And you'd be like, oh, I don't know. He's either an assassin or an astronaut. Something that starts with an A, right? And you know he's an accountant, right? You need to shroud this thing in mystery. Keep it as far from them as possible. Don't ever share it with them. Now, you leave the books around the house, all right? And not just don't keep your books in a place where they can't see them. You should keep your books out. And then when you go to the store to get a meatball sandwich or something, they might happen to look at a beholder, right? And if they talk to you about a beholder, do not, for any reason, tell them anything about that beholder. You're saying, you read those books? Okay, I guess. All right, but I just need you to know, yes, I do play Dungeons & Dragons, but there's so many more important things for you to do, son or daughter. I know someday you'll be a firefighter, nurse robot creator who saves the environment. Dungeons and Dragons is the last thing you should spend your time on. You should be doing noble things, not dark deeds, like me and my friends when we play Dungeons and Dragons. You have to keep that thing away from you. You have to shroud it in mystery and darkness. Do not share it with them, okay? Now, the other thing that I will say is I know how this game is spread, all right? I want you to go out on the intertubes, and I want you to hear the testimonies, right? Because there are testimonies, and I'm bringing it back to church here. Now, there are people who say, this is how I actually got into the game. And they're all the same. They're all like, okay, there's a couple exceptions, but 9 out of 10 of them are the same story, right? It's my older sister played Dungeons and Dragons, and I saw her playing Dungeons and Dragons, and then I started playing Dungeons and Dragons too. It's the same story, right? And if you ask more deeply, you'll say, oh, your older sister played Dungeons and Dragons, and she carefully guided you into the game and shepherded you in and taught you how to play. And they'll say, no. They said, Charlie or Sarah, get out of here. I'm playing D&D with my friends. This isn't for you. Go away. And that kicking them away from the game, doing nothing to share it does more to interest a young sibling in Dungeons & Dragons than any shepherding, coddling sibling ever could. I'm telling you, stop telling your kids Dungeons & Dragons is cool. It is a bad idea, and it will not create what you are hoping it will create, okay? Shroud it in mystery and keep your game away from your kids. Do not invite them. Do not talk to them, right? But do take the time. Don't keep your books in a public space where you can get access to them and your kids can get access to them when you're not looking. Let them sneak their and if you need to take it away from them and then put it in the same place so that they're sneaking their Dungeons and Dragons reading, all the better. The farther you keep that game from them, the better chance you have of them playing it when they go to college. And that's when they're going to start. Or if they genuinely fall in love with the game on their own, that is awesome. And that's going to be cool. And you can let that happen. But moms and dads, stop telling your kids Dungeons & Dragons is cool. Start shrouding it in mystery. Take care.